libertarian book publishing company in Spain, and this is the Latin American version. He's a consultant on family business, estate planning, and territorial development. He works from an Austrian School of Economics perspective, using Austrian businesses cycle theory and entrepreneurial discovery to build knowledge management practices through firms and families. Please give a very, very warm welcome to Jorge Eduardo Castro.
Thank you, Hernando, and thank you all for being here in Medellin. I'm more than pleased to have you here in this amazing challenge to meet each other in the middle of a pandemic, because we are in the middle of pandemic, but also in the middle of the challenge of becoming other things like humanity, like planet, because amazing things are happening. We are having only COVID the last 2 years, but we have a lot of more things going on for the next decades, and I hope you can see some things that I am proud to share, to alive for myself, and to share with many people that are trying to discover, that's the main point today, discover, which could be the next century. The next century. COVID will pass, but the next century is, for us libertarians, people who love free movements, capitalism, and overall, the flourishing of humanity. That is our main concern, I hope. So, the first is Hayekian ideas. So, I don't know how many people are familiar with Hayekian ideas. Could be really theoric. A scholar, thank you, Arthur. Our paisa polaco here. And the other thing is the Fintech universe. So there are people who is more familiarized with Fintech universe, but not so much with Hayekian ideas. And others could be more familiarized with Hayekian ideas, but not with the Fintech universe. And I try to merge both, especially for people who are not familiarized with Hayekian ideas and Fintech universe. So that is my hope. The next thing I need to share with you is the importance of Hayek in my life. I am an anarcho-capitalist, but for sure, read Road to Serfdom was one of the most important things that happened to me. And I read that in Word, a file, a digital file. Now I am selling Road to Serfdom in Spanish too, so that's amazing how the things change. But this moment was really amazing. And in one part of my life, some Spaniard people told us in a meeting, our first meeting, reading together in a bar, Road to Serfdom. We were reading in the bar of the president of Asobares, the Association of Bares in Bogota. We were reading Road to Serfdom, was our first time. And this person of Spain said to us, this was the most important book of 20th century. And he gave us really important support. He says, look, and for me, is after that, my pitch selling in every fair book that I can be. He says, look, Road to Serfdom show how we changed the 19th century, who ends with the Statue of Liberty, Eiffel Tower, plane, telegrams, telephones, and 40 years after this amazing moment of history, the end of 19th century, we have collectivism, Nazism, communism. So Road to Serfdom helped us to see how the entire world, not one nation, not what Germany, of course Colombia in this part of the time, changed, declined, and Road to Serfdom showed that to us. The other thing is how Road to Serfdom transformed the next 50 years around the world and encouraged people to speak loud about liberty. So for that reason, and when these Spaniard people tell us, I think we need to sell a lot of Road to Serfdom. It's easy because it's a really bestseller, so it could be easier, and that make more encouraged for me to make other books. But That was one of my first insights in libertarian movement. Well, we were trying to use other insights of Hayek to explore ideas of fintech universe. So my first thing tonight is an exercise. I will share with you an exercise that I do with my students when I try to explain some things in economics. So I need help in these next 5-10 minutes. I don't want to be, okay. I want to share this experiment. You know, what is coming with this? I'm talking about Hayek. What do you think is coming? Fiat currency, please. It's fiat currency. So please give to people. Please give to people. Don't worry, it's fiat currency. Plenty, it's fiat currency. No, please, it's fiat currency. You can use it, it's fiat currency. Use fiat currency. It's fiat currency. Please, it's fiat currency. You can spend a lot of fiat currency. Help us. Yes, you know it's fiat currency. You know the process is fiat currency. You can have it. So, this is the first part of this process of teaching Austrian economics in my classes. Who are the people who get these amazing papers? My friends are the first. Yes, the crony people near to Jorge. And who doesn't have the cronism? The other people who only stay to see, where is my money? Where is my money? I don't have money, I need it. Okay? So in this way, I explain how central bank redistribute power around the people who is printing money. And that's the important part of this. But it's not today the most important part of the exercise. The most important part is the next one. And of course, this is another part of this exercise. So, please, open when I say. Please, open when I say. Please, Emmanuel, okay. Open when I say. Early, please, open when I say. Here, open when I say. Esteban, open when I say. Well, the word is, when I say bacano, you know what is bacano? What means bacano? Super cool, super cool. Really cool. So, when I say bacano, the people with the candy bags can open the thing and share with others. So, 3, 2, 1, bacano. Open, please, the candy bags. Please, open the candy bags. Open the candy bags. And share with others, please. Share with others. Beautiful candies. This is an amazing candy bags. I am trying with the most delicious candy bags that I can find. Okay, people. Okay. Well, in this way, I explain free banking. In this way, I explain free banking because the sources of capital are in many parts. In many parts. And this is happening now more than ever. Sources of capital are in everywhere, for almost everyone, through technology. So we are changing things. We are changing power. But you know what? What is the most amazing, important part is not the political transformation from the people who is near to Jorge, the chronist Jorge's, no, but the people who are developing and sharing the candy bags. And more than that is the process of awareness of candy bags around us. Because the most important thing that is happening, and it's important Hayekian idea, is the discovery process. So when we have a central banking, there are plenty people who are only thinking that opportunities are only when the source is open, the only source. But when we have plenty of candy bags, people could be more aware about the things could change around. So we have an opportunity not only to change power, but to change self-awareness. And that is the most important thing. And that is part of the Hayekian ideas that I want to share, the first one. I don't know how many time I have, but I hope I can accelerate my speech because you are taking your beautiful candy bags with you. So, when you think in this world, in a little town called Guaduas, this was the town I studied my digital PhD of Austrian economics, downloading PDF and trying to read in my home in Guaduas. When you see this amazing town, they have only 2 banks, physical banks. So the amount of capital able for the entire town are in the State Bank, Banco Agrario, and the oligopolistic bank, Bank of Luis Carlos Sarmiento Agulo. So the amount of capital for this town is the amount of capital that these 2 places have. So it's a limit. There is a limit. And the principal skill to get capital is to be friend of the managers of this. So it's another thing. It's another thing. It was another thing. Because now the world is changing. So let me share with you 4 ideas that I want to use to mix Hayekian ideas in a fintech universe. The first one is individual discovery and opportunity awareness, the most amazing thing that is happening now. The second one, and I know that Esteban loves that because it's part of our debate, money is an adjective. That's a Hayekian idea. It's not a substantive. It's not that is money. No. People can use money like a measurement of essentiality. Things are more money than others, like a quality. The other one is Hijacking Triangle. The last one is Catalasto society. So I want to read some paragraphs. Please, this is my, it's not my board, but my more inspiring thing, but I know people are complaining with someone reads in a PowerPoint presentation, but it's Hayek, so it's like we need to pray a little. Economic competition exhibits a method of discovering particular temporary circumstances. The knowledge of which I am speaking consists to a great extent of the ability to detect certain conditions, an ability that individuals can use effectively only when the market tells them what kind of goods and services are demanded and how urgently. Discovery, competition as discovery procedure is this essay. It's a beautiful article that changed my mind after Road to Serfdom. So, John Chisholm time. Acres of Diamond style. So he shared with us in the Liberty Camp a beautiful story about diamonds. And I remembered this story about Russell Conwell. Russell Conwell wrote this beautiful essay in the end of 19th century too. He's a priest who wants to make 3 things. It's another beautiful text to share ideas in microeconomics. The first one is how to change about natural resources to the subjective value. I want to explain that after. So he also helped entrepreneurial skills in this text. But the most important thing in these Acres of Diamonds is a moral philosophy pitch. And I recommend a lot this old text of Russell Conwell. So apart talking about scientific discovery, diamonds. And the next part is discovering human needs. For example, he shared about Astor sitting in Park Avenue, reading the woman with hats, trying to detect the next trends in hats. The woman who walks the street like she's on it, she's a trending. And he went to the store and say, please make this kind of hat, because could be the next one thing. And he makes a lot of money, only seeing the woman who walks if she owned the street. So is this also a Russell Conwell text? So I recommend it a lot. And when you see the Russell Conwell of 20th century, John Chisholm, telling us 10 steps to discover, launch, and scale your ideal business, for me was like, yes. Was like, remember also Hayekian ideas of discovery. Discovery is really important and human thing. And we need to bring more bright to this topic, because we are discovering ourselves and discovering other people and discovering other things and discovering other planets and other worlds and other paradigms. So at the end, one of the most important things that are happening, because we have more sources of capital with the self-awareness thing, is we are discovering more things. And we are now encouraged to discover more things, especially ourselves. So it's more than Google, see? But discovery is in a hybrid world, formal and informal information. This conference has a formal information we can see again in YouTube, maybe, I hope. But I think there are plenty of things that are happening that we can share through YouTube. And it was really important to be here for that. So there are information we can collect and share, or there are information that we can collect, but we can share. We cannot share. And we are in this world, a hybrid world. Every part of ourselves is deepening in this process. So, talking about Esteban discovering the coconut lemonade. Coconut lemonade. Amazing talking between Esteban and Ken, saying, you know, here has this amazing thing is coconut lemonade. Who figures? They use lemon and coconut and mix together. And it's a beautiful beverage. And in every part of the world that could occur, but this happened here in Antioquia, and it's easy. Coconut. In which country you don't have coconuts? I can sell coconuts in your country too, but you have coconuts in your country, no? And lemons, you have. But it's different to discover that you can mix these things. Not complicated things, not far things, not technological things, only things that we can mix in our countries. And you can mix with everything, vodka, gin, you try it and you tell me. Okay. People who made discovery as a national sport. In Netherlands, they transformed the world. It was the first Latin American country to separate from Spain. You know that? I say Latin American because it's a joke, but I love the people from Netherlands. But of course, they were the first trying to avoid imperial taxes. Yesterday, I think, like the colony with the story of a tax avoidance, because they are doing that from centuries. And they made an entire fleet of boats around the world, discovering the world, sharing with other people. This was amazing. And they made a flute. Flute is a boat who has a tax evasion purpose. Because above the boat, you have a narrow thing like, I don't know, platform, because in Denmark, they needed to pay taxes because of the length of the part above the boat. So what they do in Netherlands is try with the flute and make the part above a little shorter than Denmark and Norway. Tax evasion is like a national, no, it's not a national sport. Discovery was a national sport in Netherlands, and we need to say thanks for them. Because the next things they were doing was the stock of exchange. And the stock of exchange was like the blockchain of these times. Was the entire transforming revolution of property rights in the world. You are not only discovering places, products, inventory, but you are also discovering ways to share property, capital, and that changed the entire world. The stock of exchange built in Amsterdam. This is the old slide, but I needed to place here because this is the principal message for discovering purposes. We have the balance sheet. Balance sheet is the thing that can take us to see the world in a capitalistic view, in a stereoscopic view. We have assets, we have capital, liabilities, and equity. And we can see the world through these two different things that are changing the world. The balance sheet was an enormous invention to help us to share goods and rights on the goods. So we saw the exponential increments of capital goods and goods services in the Industrial Revolution. But Marx says we have also a concentration of property rights. That is the other way. Was a massive explosion of property rights. Inventory, factories, boats, invention, experiments. There are plenty of things because property rights could be placed in a properly way. Because not only balance sheet was invented or was placed in Renaissance, but because the Dutch people used this to revolutionize the way we build firms around. So, Hayek again. In a competitive industry, at any rate, and such an industry alone can serve as a test, the task of keeping costs from rising requires constant struggle, absorbing a great part of the energy of the manager. How easy it is for any inefficient manager to dissipate the differentials on which profitable rest, and that is possible, with the same technical facilities to produce with a great variety of cost, are among the commonplaces of businesses experience which don't seem to be equally familiar in the study of the economists. The very strength of the desire, constantly voiced by producer engineers to be allowed to proceed, untrammeled by consideration of money costs, is eloquent testimony to the extent to which these factors enter into the daily work. I use this after the last presentation to remember that people are talking a lot of transformation and innovation in assets. But if we don't consider the other part, the capital structure, we are missing the point. It's not only engineering. We have cost of opportunity, and we need to mix both. So we need to see the world in a stereoscopic way. And balance sheet is the thing that helps us for this, to make a catalytic society, and Fintech universe is working above that. So in this moment, we have this discussion, but in a long way. We are seeing the fight between Silicon Valley and Wall Street. The asset process building and the structural capital process. So they are like fighting, but not really fighting right now, no more. But you know, Stanford engineering, asset building, Stanford business, capital structure, architecture. So there are plenty of things that we can see. The other way is, of course, tech is in this moment more interesting for many things. Many things. This is a 2015 data, but of course we know now with blockchain, now with digital transformation, we have more things going. But these are changing in the both sides, assets and capital structure. Well, as a part of Colombian Think, I only want to share with you, this is our most amazing constitution in the 1863 with this amazing guy, one of our liberal, most important liberal, Colombian liberals, Miguel Samper Agudelo. And he wrote this essay, Banco Nacional, the first important document against central banking in Colombia, before Federal Reserve. Because central banking was a topic in the 19th century. And in Colombia, we fought against that. And in this constitution, Panama was still with us. And when we split because they took this constitution. We have the other, in 1886, we took the other constitution, the centralized constitution with central banking. Panama maintained this spirit. Well, Miguel Samper wrote many important things. Sorry. Miguel Samper wrote many important things. I only want to share this part of the pieces, but the most important, in this paper against central banking, he was explaining the same thing I was explaining. The world has two processes, different processes. The circulation of goods and the transfer of the property rights of the goods. So you can see coffee going from, I don't know, Medellin to London, but the property rights of this coffee could be traveling to Bogota to Amsterdam. There are separate things because we have the balance sheet to be aware of that. So when we try to use only innovation in the asset way, we miss the other point. And it is in the other point, the balance sheet, we defend property rights in a more abstract way. And we were doing that before central banking in Colombia. For this reason, it's important to keep that money, like Hayek said, is not a substantive, but an adjective. We need to maintain the exchangeability of things. In Antioquia, here, I discovered people buy houses or make businesses without cash. They pay a new apartment with 2 houses and 3 cars. Or with cows. Or with, they are not paying with cash. They're only exchanging things. Because from many years before central planning, the region was aware about the exchangeability of things. Especially that increased also in inflationary moments. So things that could be exchanged, representing amounts of money but not being cash, is important. And that will be happening again with Fintech universe, with blockchain technology. We can change an apartment in Hawaii, a house in Hawaii, for 3 houses or one hotel in Guatapé, and not transferring cash, only property rights. Only property rights, through technology. Because the property rights matter in this process. So this is part of the technology non-fungible tokens that people here could be aware of, maybe master. You can't replicate, but you can exchange through digital process. We are entering a different world with more exchangeability of things. It's not only Bitcoin. It's not only Ethereum. It's not only the weakness of dollar. It's the extension of the exchangeability of things that is happening now. Okay? don't know how much time I have. Okay. So the next thing is Hijacking Triangle. Which are familiarized with this Hijacking Triangle? Some? Hijacking Triangle? Okay, I recommend a lot that you use Hijacking Triangle to see the process of transformation, to see the temporary exchange between the present and the future. Because the coffee we are drinking today is made with the trees that we planted 10 years before. So when you are thinking in businesses, you are thinking in the process of the earliest stage when we are planting the coffee and the moment when we are drinking the coffee. There are different times. In this process also, we can use, for example, different sectors: retailing, wholesale, distribution, manufacturing, refining, mining. And with this technology now, we can find coconut lemonade in every part of the Hijacking Triangle, in every part of transformation between the early stage of production and the later stage of production. There are plenty of things to be discovered, plenty of coconut lemonades to be discovered. Hey, was this that easy to make that? That easy, like a coconut and lemonade and shaking? Yes, could be that. And we need to maintain focus in this. Well, of course, I am selling books. I am always selling a book. And this is a book that we are working with Jaime Plata. Jaime introduced with Early. Early is also working in this process, distributed ledgers. And it's not only exchange of information, emailing, it's exchanging property and it's exchanging value. We build balance sheet, we will think with balance sheet, and now we have a lot and synchronized balance sheets around the world. So imagine that can happen with that. Yes? So we have before internet, now only exchanging information, and after that we will share parts in different firms with the same information, with this different perception of the value of this exchange. Simple things. So the enforcement of property rights could be possible not for the people in the nation, but for the things in the cloud. And we are transferring enforcement of contracts when we cloudificate, with the cloudification of our exchange. We are surpassing national state. We are surpassing national state with this enforcement of private property rights. So imagine how amazing could be this century when we are making easier the exchange of property rights, and how can that help us to build amazing assets, new technology in a more scalable way. So I need to read Hayek with reverence. The problem which we meet here is by no means peculiar to economics, but arises in connection with nearly all truly societal phenomena, with language and with most of our cultural inheritance, and constitutes really the central theoretical problem of social science. As Alfred Whitehead has said in another connection, it's a profoundly erroneous truism repeated by all copybooks and by eminent people when they are making speeches that we should cultivate the habit of thinking what we are doing. The precise opposite is the case. Civilization advances by extending the number of important operations which we can perform without thinking about them. This is of profound significance in the social field. We make constant use of formulas, symbols, and rules whose meaning we do not understand, and through the use of which we avail ourselves of the assistance of knowledge which individually we do not possess. We have developed these practices and institutions by building upon habits and institutions which have proved successful in their own sphere and which have in turn become the foundation of the civilization we have built up. So, For what that is important in this new fintech universe, we are the automatization process that we are now involved with Internet of Things for revolution is also a civilization process because we are not thinking in the same way. Of course, we need to think. It's not the issue. The process is we don't have the need to think about every issue because we can automatize many more things. So our real important thoughts could be for other things. So for that reason, automatization in the cloud matters because that brings us a more civilized society. Okay. From Midclass to bourgeoisie. I made a report with the Chamber of Commerce of Eastern Antioquia, trying to help them how we can create a transversal services through family businesses, from entrepreneurial family to dynasty family. So there are many things in the process. Of course, business family, wealth family, this is another topic. But one of the most amazing things that I could discover was this affirmation about how middle class is not a producer class, but a consumer class. So you can have middle class, but middle class doesn't mean a production class. They don't think how can we produce. So we need bourgeoisie, not only middle class. We can make a better purchasing power of the people, but they don't transform from themselves to see the bourgeoisie, the importance of exchange, the importance of capital cost, the importance of return of capital. So we need to change middle class to bourgeoisie, but not entire middle class. That is not needed. We don't need that in the past. We don't need that in the future. But we need to encourage bourgeoisie, people who can see the balance sheet to transform the world. And that will happen with the fintech universe. So I try to tell about this topic when I talk about capitalist. Not capital and labor like sources, but people. When you have in a town one and only capitalist and 100 workers, of course, purchasing power of the people are low. But when someone comes to the town or someone becoming another capitalist, the pool of capital increases and the workers are competing, and the capitalists are now competing for the workers. So the process is not to see how the workers could be arising, but how can we develop more capitalists? Because when we have more of these people, the purchasing power of the workers increases too. So we need to encourage the transformation of more workers or more middle class into capitalists to increase the capital pool and to make a better auction for work, for labor. So one amazing thing that is happening is fintech universe is supporting transformation in financial education, transforming people to be only middle class in bourgeoisie, like Netherlands, discovering the entire world. And that also will give us laboral productivity. We need, for financial education, theory of free markets, entrepreneurial and investment training. We did that almost in the Liberty camp. Hayek, but without Hayek, so sorry. Quite apart from the fact that there is still so much more to discover in such a country, it seems to me that there is another consideration making the greatest possible freedom of competition much more important here than in more highly developed countries. The fact I have in mind is that the necessary change in habits and customs will occur only when those who are ready and able to experiment with new procedures can make it necessary for the others to imitate them, with the former thereby showing the way. But if the majority is in a position to prevent the few from conducting experiments, the necessary discovery procedure will be frustrated. The fact that competition not only shows how things can be improved, but also forces all those whose income depends on the market to imitate improvements is, of course, one of the major reasons for the disinclination of competence. So, how can we make change? Be an example. Experiment. Bring people who want to imitate us, to make another habit. We are saying we need to teach, we need to pitch, of course, but we need to be an example to people to imitate us. And blockchain technology and fintech universe are making that easier. Because we don't have only our country. We're building a cloud countries, a lot of countries. Majoritarians versus libertarian. I love the word majoritarians in one of the pitch, I think Mitchell was. And I now, it's not democracy against freedom, but it's majoritarianism. And that occurs in every group. When people are seeing more, there are others seeing these things in the same way, or I am so rare, freak, individualistic, different. Having seen what I have of the world, it appears to me that the proportion of people who are prepared to try out new possibilities that promise to improve their situation, as long as others do not prevent them from doing so, is more or less the same everywhere. It seems to me that the much lamented lack of entrepreneurial spirit in many young countries is not an unchangeable attribute of individuals, but the consequence of limitation placed on individuals by the prevailing point of view. The prevailing point of view is a thing that we can measure by majoritarian points of view. So we don't look majoritarianism in country by country. We need to look majoritarianism, if you need to, in other parts of the process. Leveraging individual disposition through digital hubs, hybrid hubs, platforms and clouds, regions and voluntary organizations. The individual disposition through digital hubs we are trying to make. Okay? I am not almost finished, Colombia. I need to try to see the differences of habits. You don't see, because always we see the poor people in this country. No, we need to look the elites, how bourgeoisie is in this country. They are taking the most advantaged resources habits, costumes, because when they change, the other people can change really faster. So here, Banco Industrial de Colombia, 25 years ago, they make a really rare thing in Colombia. They make our first IPO. Only 25 years. It's like Soviet Union in capital markets. The most important Bank of Colombia only makes some kind of international IPO only 25 years ago. After that, Antioquia was changed. Because they have now, in this moment, they can change his strength, financial strength. They borrow cheaper in New York Exchange, and they built international and multi-Latina banking system. Only 25 years before. So we are not only trying to make that blockchain technology. We need new process on capital markets, even for the biggest one, the most sophisticated, the bankers in Colombia. And another fact, the oligopolistic bank that Luis Carlos Sarmiento Angulo has now is in really troubles because Odebrecht, I don't know if you know the case of Odebrecht. It's a really big corruption case in Latin America. Brazilian case linked with Lula da Silva. This bank of Luis Carlos Sarmiento Angulo could have a sentence, not because Colombia made the legislation, but because this group, this financial group, is in the stock of exchange in New York. So to fight corruption, we need more than national laws. We need also capital market procedures. So now Colombia is in another step. But, for example, this year, amazing news. Our most important company in Colombia, Ecopetrol, owned by the state, but also in the stock of exchange in Colombia, begins to marketing in Singapore. This year, please, this year. We needed a pandemic to open the minds of the elite to see Singapore. So we have elite. We need to also teach our elites to become in a really international cosmopolitan bourgeoisie. So we have an amazing rising star of economics here in Colombia, in the Liberty camp. His name is Jair. But when I talk about fintech culture, I am not talking about this app, or this blockchain, or this crypto money, or this thing. It's a culture. So in the Liberty camp, they did a collection for what? What do you think in a Liberty camp the assistants made a collection of money? For what? What? Drinks, you know, because you were there. Drinks. They collect money to drink for goods and services, fintech thing. So, what? Of course, to buy books. Yes, that was the collect, yes. No, was the drink thing.
But in certain place,
Drinks, yes, no. Drinks was a night, was a nightmare night.
okay.
But the point is, it's not an application, it's a culture. They make the agreement in WhatsApp group and make the payment in an EKI. And they share in the WhatsApp group, I am paying. So the trust was built in a WhatsApp group. Fintech, financial and technology. Building trust. The borrower is the lender. So try to think this process like a digital conversation process. Not only this application, this technology is happening now in more things that we can see. And I'm finishing, that is like catalytics. How many people are aware about the word catalactics? I encourage a lot of it's another word of Hayek. It's a beautiful word. It's a beautiful word to show the market economy. And Catalasto, the Greek verb, means exchange, of course. We will do a lot of exchange in the next decade, century. But also, things admit into the community. Catalactics is admit into the community. To be in the WhatsApp group, to share the drinks. And also, to change from enemy into friend. So we are having a world increasing in catalactic ways because we are increasing our exchanges. But we are not aware because we don't need to think about it to happen. But it's happening. And we need to leverage from there. So you can see.
Please, we have only like very few minutes if we want any question.
Okay. I want to finish. Okay. So I want to let with this, I read to this, and I want to finish with that. The two advantages of a spontaneous market order or catalaxy It can use the knowledge of all participants, and the objectives it serves are the particular objectives of all its participants in all diversity and polarity. So we are not only fighting against socialism, collectivism, and center planning, it's also this century the challenge of build a global catalactic order. Fintech, blockchain, is more than a fintech universe. It's a global catalactic society that we are building now, admitting in communities, changing enemies to friends, and also being aware that we are the things and opportunity, the candy bags that we can have, not only near in our place, in our physical place, but also in our Facebook groups, in our WhatsApp groups, in many, many, many places, forums like that. So for this is all. So questions, please?
Any questions, please?
Muy buenos días, soy Noria del Movimiento Libertario en Venezuela. La pregunta mía es un poco simple, a la vez compleja. ¿Por qué? Porque la cuestión es que con todas estas maravillosas ideas que entiendo, de verdad, te felicito, la cuestión es cómo las comunicamos. Eso también es otra parte simple, pero la cuestión que yo siempre comento dentro de todos los grupos, sean libertarios, liberales, es que debemos mantener la unión. No sé si dentro de lo que estoy comentando estoy errado. Eso es el primer punto. Y el segundo punto, pues, ¿verdad? Maravilloso. Y entre otras ideas, no, ya, pero de verdad, esa es la única.
No entendí la pregunta, por favor.
¿Cómo comunicamos estas ideas que estás comentando? Porque, o sea, de verdad son maravillosas. No tengo que comentar más. La cuestión, the question is, how we can send to a person that is so ignorant, that it's, no sé, ignorante, necio, por así decirlo. O sea, esa es la pregunta mía, ¿cómo? O sea, ¿cómo la transmitir?
Okay.
Porque la cuestión es que, como yo siempre le cuento a mis amigos, a mis hermanos, a todo el mundo, ¿cómo transmitimos la idea a una persona que es muy necia? O sea, como decimos nosotros aquí, ¿cómo transmitimos la idea? Porque yo sé que sí, o sea, nuestra idea es maravillosa, pero ¿cómo la transmitimos?
Okay. The first is I'm recommending to look more the bowling effect that John Chisholm has recommended. So we need to make a pin or like check the things that could check other things. So don't see the crowds. Don't be afraid about the crowds. Encourage the individuals because the crowd follow. And you don't know when, how, because every individual has different crowds, different moments, different passion, different commitment, but you can see the passion of one individual and nourish that. Everything could happen after that. See? Meet some other amazing people, but you need to focus with one in each time.
Okay. The thing is that when I was transmitting that idea to a person, happened two things. Well, I don't know if I call ideas or what. But the first thing is, the person said, well, I don't care about politics, because that's the normal answer to a question for me in Venezuela, because the people are disappointed. The politicians and so much things. And second thing is, no, I don't care, and I want to be the first person that can make the change. Everyone wants to make the change, but nobody wants
Any other questions?
Yes, yes. Any other questions? Okay, I finished answering that and
Yes.
it's all. Okay. For me, and maybe it's not the only answer, but for me, the first thing was releasing myself of majoritarianism. I don't know, I don't have a need of the crowds, millions of people, yes? And I don't know how to change or discover other person. I only present a case, and maybe it's this day, maybe other day, maybe it's not the person. But the process is, I am doing the thing, I am sharing, because it's the only thing I can be responsible for. Changing others could be other way, but trying my best in each person process is the only thing I can do in this moment of my life. So not an answer in the Universe Tech, but the discovery procedures could be. But I think Hernando wants, and we can talk a lot about it. So thanks a lot, and the amazing Luis Espinosa.